Hello everybody, welcome back to Board Game Nation. Today we're going to go through a great little game by my favorite designer, Stefan Feld, Isla. Right, so this game's fairly light. It's fairly quick to do, which is good because I'm fighting a major cold today, so if I'm coughing, forgive me. So, without further ado, let's get down to the how to play, and then we'll roll into the playthrough and then my final thoughts. See you on the other side. Okay, everybody, here's Isla, another Stefan Feld game, but it's much lighter than his usual ones. That doesn't mean that it isn't filled with interesting mechanics and deep thought. It's quite packed for how small it is. Let's just go through what exactly is in the game. You get this kind of scoring board. We have each of these animals here. They each have a column, a scoreboard track, some tiles that we're going to make the board out of, some markers here, the animals, and these things which hold cards, some resources, a lot of cards, and some kind of helpers to tell you how to play the game, and then these little kind of explorers, which are neat. What Isla is all about is we are explorers, like this fine guy on the box right there, and we have found kind of a very ancient island that nobody has come across before, probably in the Galapagos Islands, and we have found some of the rare species that have been extinct for, thousands of years. So we have got the dodo bird, we've got some kind of mammal rodent thing, we've got a golden frog, we've got some kind of special moth. They have these special names in the rulebook, but I can't pronounce them, neither can I remember them. And some kind of, kind of a feline animal. So these wonderful forgotten creatures that have been extinct for, hundreds or thousands of years are here in the island. And we are coming to this island to explore and find out and research about these creatures. Now, on this board, each animal has a track. And according to the amount of players, for instance, in a two-player game, once these markers have gone up far enough and the points beside them add up to 7, that's the end of the game. Everybody finishes off their turns and the game ends there. These will also be numbers that are multipliers for the end of game scoring. So you will get a multiplier, for instance 3 here. If this marker was way up here, you would get a 3 to how many animals of these small rodents that you have. So if I had 4 of them, it would be 3 times 4. Okay, I'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, we need to seed the board. So these tiles are quite nifty. They click into place. Everything's random, and they click into place going like this. So let me finish up the board. Okay, so here's the board, and now we're going to place out these animal tokens. And we're randomly going to place all the animal tokens on these spots in the middle of each numbers. So there's kind of like this lighted out break in the forests. And we're going to seed the board. So there we go, we've done that. You'll also have one of each animal small tile left over. This is actually provided by the manufacturer, so if you lose one of these tokens, you've got spare. So we'll put that in the box. We also have large tiles that each person will randomly get. One of these larger tiles is worth 2 of the smaller tiles, so this would be worth 2 animals. So we're going to randomly choose. Blue's going to get the dodos, and white's going to get the felines. There we go. Each player is also going to get 1 resource of each type. We've got oh, I messed up there. Each one of these markers represents a particular resource that you need to get into an area. So this would be grassland, desert, this is steep, this is mountain, and these are swamp areas. So each person needs, we'll start with one of those, each one of our players. We also get 6 explorers. One of the 6 explorers is going to be taken and placed on the 0 spot on the game board track. So there we go. Now there are 2 extra explorers. They will stay in the box. They will be added to your supply. If you get the right card, the card will activate you getting more explorers. We've completely set up the game now, so we're going to start how we play the game. Each person is going to draw 3 cards, and with those 3 cards, they're going to choose what actions they want to do with them. They have to use all 3 cards, and each of the actions that the person chooses for each card has to be activated. So there are 3 portions of the card. There is a special ability, there is a resource, and there is a marker of each animal. This symbol will indicate the prestige or the media coverage that this animal will be getting in this particular round. So each person has a particular board with A, B, C, and D. You'll be placing a card in A, B, people are going to be in C, and D will be another card. Then each player is going to activate each action A, B, C, and D. Okay, so let's start. We've placed our cards now. Now, in the real game, we would have these flipped over so other players don't know. And on the count of 3, we'd all flip them up and we would activate. These 2 actions, A, B, can be activated simultaneously. Then C and, C has to be done in turn order. The turn order marker is here. The blue player will be going first. So as you can see, A is the special ability. There are 3 special ability slots in the game. This special ability will be activated until another card has replaced this card. So this says every time you put an explorer onto the board that is represented by tents, you only have to pay 1 resource. So for instance, right here, then the player will get a resource of their choice. So this would be brown, so brown, and this would be placed, this would just be placed in the discard pile. Then in turn order, white would have gone in turn order. Since blue is starting, he will be able to place a guy. He places a guy and he will have to pay 2 resources of the same color as the terrain that he's being placed on. So that means he will be placing, let's say, on the tents here. So that would have cost him 2 brown. But because he has this special card now, he only has to pay 1 resource. So he will pay his 1 resource to place an explorer there. That explorer will stay there until it is moved. Explorers will only move after all the explorers from your grouping are out on the board. Once there are no explorers left here, you will be able to move the explorers using the same mechanism to surround animals. Surrounding animals occurs when if a certain explorer has surrounded a particular marker. Once that animal has been surrounded, for instance here and here, the player will take the marker and put it into its supply. He will score points for the amount of victory points listed on the board here. So 2 victory points. So the blue player would move up 1, 2 victory points. It is possible to surround more than 1 animal in an action. For instance, spending 2 yellow resources to go here would get him 2 markers and score it respectively 4, 5, 6 victory points, and he would put these into his supply. After everybody has placed their explorer, we get to do D. D, means that we're going to move up on that particular track on the scoreboard. So in this particular case, it's the golden frogs. The frogs move up. Then for every animal that you have in that column, you get 1 victory point. So I don't have any frogs, so I would get 0 victory points. At this time, you ignore the numbers listed here. That's for the end of the game, for end game scoring. There are many different cards that with special abilities. For instance, this one says every time you get a gray cube, you can get a cube of your choice. This one says every time you place an explorer on the outside rim of the game board, you get 2 victory points immediately. In subsequent rounds, you're going to have to replace one of your special abilities with a new special ability. Every time you do action A, you have to place the new ability, so you can't just toss it. So in this particular case, I'll have to choose to build over an old special ability to get this new special ability. As soon as special abilities are placed here, they activate, so you will get the benefit immediately. All special abilities are listed on these 2 cards. So if you're wondering what it actually means, there they are. Like I said before, when all your explorers are out on the board, and when you are going to take your action to move, you will actually move an explorer on the board. So I will move this explorer for 2 gray cubes. If you don't want to move, or you cannot move because of lack of resources, an explorer, instead you can take 1 resource of your choice from this general supply. When the purple markers on the track are far enough to add up to 7, for instance in a 2-player game, the game will end after everybody has finishes their turns. So in this particular case, we have 4, 5, 6, 7. Once the purple markers have gone up far enough for them to add up to a particular number depending on the player number, for instance in a 2-player game, is 7. So if this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the game will end. Everybody has their last turn if they haven't yet, and the game ends. End scoring happens in a couple of ways. For each type of animal that you have, you will score for a pair of each type of animals. So the 5 animals here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would get 10 points. If you have 2 of these, you would get 20 points or 30 points, which would be very difficult. Then you score for each type of animal depending on the multiplier. So for instance, we have 3 moths here, and moths on the board are at 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. Whereas in the rodents here, I have 1 rodent times 2, which is 2 points. As you can see, the player that has the most golden frogs is going to get a nice bonus at the end of the game. For every 2 resources you have at the end of the game, you'll get 1 victory point. It doesn't matter the color of the resource. There is one thing you have to look out for. You can never have the same power in effect twice. So these are the same power. You couldn't actually do this. You could only have 1 of each power. This also applies to this card, which allows you to get another slot for special powers. You can only have 1 of these cards as well. So that's it for Isla. Very quick and tight and juicy Steffenfeld game. It has a very small manual, and it's extremely easy to learn and teach, as you can see. It has some good Rio Grande rule book layout, which is nice, but I'm getting into my review, so I will stop it there. If you want to continue to see the playthrough, just check out the other video, or you can see my review on a later video as well. Thank you very much, and have a good night.